Hello, guys. I think you guys should be able to hear me by now. What's happening? Okay, we should be live now. Everything is good. And we will be watching Nicolas Jarry play Facundo Diaz Acosta, obviously, the Buenos Aires final, the last match of this second part of the Golden Swing of this year, 2 out of 4. We have already completed Cordoba. We have already completed, we are about to complete Buenos Aires. Nicolas is in the chat. Usually, Nicolas is there when Stefanos Tsitsipas plays. Today, he's also there when Jarry and Diaz Acosta are on. Interestingly, Jarry, of course, beating Tsitsipas a couple of times recently. Maybe that's playing into it. Maybe he became a fan of Jarry after these matches. But yeah, Jarry probably the slight favorite. He's 3-0 in the head-to-head against Diaz Acosta. Although that was all probably yeah, maybe he comes and there's a fellow Nicolas. Yeah, that was all like before Diaz Acosta had his breakthrough. So I don't know if this will hold up. Of course, Jarry has been there before as well. This might be a thing. And just as I'm speaking this, the first point that I saw, because I actually missed the first few, was a Diaz Acosta forehand that was just like, well, not even middle of the net. So maybe there are some early nerves indeed. And Jarry already has 3 break points. The 3 matches that they played, which was Santiago Challenger 2021, Ludenscheid Challenger 2022, and also US Open qualifying 2022. They were all in 3 sets. So I guess there are some positives for Diaz Acosta definitely to take from these matches, even though he lost all of them. Let's see. He gets Jarry on the move here a little bit, but it seems that the Chilean will be back in the point. Huge forehand inside out. Diaz Acosta defending well. Back and cross now, and he misses it. But this was better, you know. This was Diaz Acosta actually having to play a few balls, and he was at his sharpest defensively. So perhaps the early nerves, the first couple of points that were so spotty, perhaps he has managed to at least cool it down by now, and let's see if Jarry can still break. Forehand drop shot from Diaz Acosta. Jarry again with some very good sprinting, just like against Alcaraz yesterday. I mean, his row speed, I don't know, has it increased? You know, I don't think you can really increase your row speed by this much, but the way that Jarry is scrambling around the court this week is very surprising to me. Anyway, Diaz Acosta still wins the point, of course. He manages to find the backhand pass. He didn't play it too, let's say, carefully. Like, there was an opportunity for Jarry to catch it. He anticipated right, but there was enough pace on the shot that, it still would have been pretty lucky if he made it, basically. Now let's see what Diaz Acosta can cook up here. Actually, he finds the third breakpoint save as well with a serve at the body. Jarry throws out the return, so 3 breakpoints have been fended off by the Argentinian. Diaz Acosta can become the 6th Argentinian champion of this event in Buenos Aires. I think the previous have been Guillermo Coria, Gaston Gaudio, Diego Schwartzman, Juan Monaco, and the 5th one I'm lacking is, I believe, David Nalbandian. And he can also, interestingly, become the first lefty champion at all, overall on the ATP Tour since Cam Norrie won Rio last year. So it's been about a year. Somewhat surprising, I think. But what a great point here from Diaz Acosta. Now he's really firing, spreading the court with the forehand down the line. He finishes it off. Great stuff. I mean, this is the sort of tennis that he played in the semis, you know, both sort of able to hit forehand winners at will, but at the same time also great on defense, really good grinder, heavy topspin. This is sort of the version of his game that we were watching the whole week, and this is what he will need to bring out today. Obviously, this is a big occasion for either player. Jarry approaching the net here, gets a pretty nice volley off the body, so we are still not done with the opening game. But yeah, the last few points, really high quality, so hopefully this will remain the case for the rest of the final as well. Ooh, that kicker second serve did the trick. Jarry misses another backhand return. So another chance for Diaz Acosta to finish the game. Obviously, for Facundo, this is the first ATP final. In fact, he's never played a quarter before. He's never played a semi before this week. He has like 5 of his 8 career wins in Buenos Aires by now. Like, this is the event where he does everything. But that's also because of sample size, right? After all, I mean, he won the match in like Winston-Salem last year or something like that. I think maybe a match in Cordoba. But yeah, 2 matches in Cordoba, I think this year already actually. But he just hasn't played too much on the ATP tour, especially if we get him in the full European clay swing. I wonder how he'll do. That would be the chance to sort of establish himself, of course, on the main tour. But he will also be defending a ton of challenger points in the spring. That was the big breakthrough for him. Jarry on the attack, but Diaz Acosta is picking up some phenomenal shots and he gets the job done. Maybe there was a point when Jarry could have approached the net after one of these bigger backhands, especially the one down the line. But Diaz Acosta some phenomenal gets and he manages to get the point. Of course, that was eventually due to a Jarry error, but he forced that error by just making the Chilean hit 5 balls instead of 2 or 3, which most players would be probably done in the point after this. They're showing some guy on the screen. I have no clue who that is. Yesterday in Delray, I know there was John Bon Jovi. I don't think it's a John Bon Jovi, but maybe it's an Argentinian John Bon Jovi, South American John Bon Jovi of sorts. Ghosty says he's dropping into route for Diaz Acosta. And yeah, let's see if Jarry, after missing these 3 breakpoints in the opening game, can put a first game on the board for him on serve. From what I remember from their previous matches, honestly, my memories are a bit blurry. Like, I don't remember their Santiago match at all. I think when they played in Ludenscheid, I was definitely watching it. That was round 2 of a challenger in 2022. Jarry then went to the semis and lost to Medjedovic, I believe. That was Hamad's first title. And that match was definitely a lot of scrambling defensive good points that Diaz Acosta was able to pull off. I don't think he was probably able to match Jarry on serve, Well, right now he also can't, obviously, but I do think he's a better server now than when he was back then. He probably had to rely on on the defensive qualities of his game a bit more. Then again, I think Jarry obviously has improved as well. That was still when Jarry was about 150 in the rankings. Right now he's 21st. He would actually be the biggest win in Diaz Acosta's career. Diaz Acosta beat Francisco Cerundolo this week, number 22. So it wouldn't be by much, but he would be the biggest scalp of Diaz Acosta's career. And I think that right now, obviously Jarry, compared to these matches that they played against each other in 2021, 2022, he's also just like so much more efficient and just doesn't spray the ball nearly as much off the ground. So the maybe the best way to just approach this matchup from our perspective is that they've both improved so much since they last played one another. So it's kind of a clean slate. Jarry obviously still being the favorite, having been there before, in fact, in 5 ATP Tour finals with a 3-2 record. And also, just having the easier ways to win points, I guess, which always counts for something, especially if it comes to the crunch and you kind of just want to get the job done easily. And this is how Nicolas Jarry does it in this game. Big serve and the +1 forehand was probably even faster. You can't do anything with that sort of thudding power. 1 game all, the hold for Jarry being obviously significantly easier than it was for Diaz Acosta, but the Argentinian still definitely needs to get some praise for handling that love 40 deficit. on his own delivery and still staying with Jarry here. Obviously, it's a clay match. The breaks are not going to be as important. Then again, I don't think it's going to be an Alcaraz Ugo Carabelli, right? When the players were winning like 50% of points on their serves, this isn't going to be quite the same match. Ooh, again, Jarry just tries to go for that second serve return, but for now, he's struggling to time it right when Diaz Acosta just goes for a kicker at the body most of the time. And the misses can be like 2 or 3 meters, but I'm fairly confident that there will be, return winners as well coming off Jarry's racket at some point of this final. That's a very well. I don't know if I can say smart, but that's definitely very well placed lefty serve from Diaz Acosta. Not about the power at all. He stretches Jarry to the forehand side just because of the spin on that and the direction. So, if you can find a lot of these first serves placed very well into the corners, get Jarry off balance already, that would definitely be a big win for him in the final. As I said, the 3 matches that they played, Jarry won all of them, but Diaz Acosta was in it. Diaz Acosta won a set every single time, so it likely won't be easy. I like that on the channel we're just sort of going all out Buenos Aires this week with the watch-alongs. We're not focusing on Delray Beach, but let's be honest, Delray Beach has been a bit boring, right? I mean, it's just Americans. It's the same Americans that have played each other a billion times already. And it's like, I think I feel like in Buenos Aires, there's definitely a lot more novelty. Forehand drop shot from Diaz Acosta. Jarry chases it down, but actually messed it up a bit here. I think he lost his, balance trying to get that shot. His response clips the net, although he actually had enough time on it. He certainly could have played it back. But yeah, this was again just Diaz Acosta capitalizing on how far away from the court Jarry was after the return, which maybe won't be that common for the Chilean usually. However, after Diaz Acosta's first serve, he's standing basically at the back fence. What a backhand down the line from the Argentinian now. This isn't really a shot that he's known for, but he manages to find it, and it's 2-1 Diaz Acosta, who, after the first few sloppy points, when he looked a bit tense, right now he's living his best life. He's enjoying it, and he's playing like he did against Fede Coria in the semifinals, which, by the way, was an extremely impressive performance. I mean, the way that he was able to just bring such a clean version of his game, such a sort of definitive version of his game to the biggest match of his life. I mean, right now, this is the biggest match of his life. So let's see if he can do it again. And obviously, the matchup is very different than against Fede Coria. You kind of can't find two more different players than Nicolas Jarry and Federico Coria, I think. But yeah, it would be very impressive again. Nicolas says that Jarry is a top 5 player. Yet Tsitsipas Jarry, quite an interesting rivalry last year. Jarry winning on grass, Tsitsipas winning Los Cabos, Tsitsipas winning in Monte Carlo as well. It was definitely a fun show. Did Jarry also beat him somewhere else? I think, right? I mean, it was like 2-2 or something like that. But yeah, it was fun. Apparently, the guy that I had on the screen was Fernando Olvera from Mexico. So it indeed was like a John Bon Jovi from Latin America. Jarry is seeking his 4th ATP title. Of course, two of them were last year, Geneva, Santiago. So technically, he would actually get his 3rd title in 12 months, which would be quite impressive. It would be like on the verge of these 12 months, right? Because Santiago is coming up, but still. And one of them he had before the suspension, before he had to come back from basically scratch. But yeah, Jarry to serve 1-2 down in the opening set. Nicolas, as always, very nice in the chat. Thank you for the compliments. Anyway, Nicolas Jarry approaching the net here. I think the lob from Diaz Acosta probably will not make it, and yes, he just allows it to fall out of the court. I wanted to check something, but now I don't remember what. I pulled up some stats and I don't remember what I was supposed to check now. Never mind. Apparently it wasn't that important. Let's just focus on the match. It's a pretty deep second serve from Jarry, but it definitely does enough. I don't know if he risked it or maybe he didn't control it fully, but it set him up for this huge +1 inside in forehand, which obviously Jarry takes because, well, that's part of his game, right? He's just not going to shy away from chances like that and gets another very quick point. That second set against Alcaraz that Jarry played yesterday, that was absolutely fabulous. And maybe there was a moment when Carlos could have taken over when he won the opening game, right, in the second set. But he never capitalized on that. He never really rode that momentum that suddenly appeared for him, and never took it to a 3-1 lead. Jarry breaks back, and then the 3-all game, the 3-4, the 4-3 game from Jarry's perspective, that was really some of the strongest tennis that Jarry can play. Not just the big serve, the way he was even covering the court, but also the inventive drop shot that he came up with to set up breakpoint. That was really pretty insane, and kind of nicely showed why he is such a tough customer. This could have been the best angle in the world, but Jarry actually misses it by just a little bit. So it is 30-all now. Tried to go for the super sharp forehand cross, but just barely missed it. And the first serve isn't in as well, so at 30-all, Diaz Acosta will already be looking for some sort of a, neutral return probably. I don't think he will be crushing it, but just try to get it heavy and not allow Jarry to attack. And that has been achieved by him. They are trading. Diaz Acosta just trying to keep the ball in play, and he's doing it well. He's lifting the ball. He's not allowing Jarry to have an easier, sort of cleaner point of attack. And we've got a breakpoint for Diaz Acosta now. So he saved 3 in the opening game, the Argentinian. Now he gets his chance. Obviously, as usual with Jarry, the first serve, the second serve, that will be quite important. As on the previous point, we basically saw what might happen if the first serve doesn't go in, that, they have to start just rallying from the back of the court. And most of these rallies will probably be going, if he can keep it up for 5 shots, then Diaz Acosta's way. And that's another second serve coming up now for Nicolas Jarry. Has he made it? The umpire is going to get down off his chair and check, but I do think he's actually double faulted here. Yeah. We've got confirmation as well. So it is 3-1 for Diaz Acosta. This came kind of out of nowhere, not gonna lie. I mean, Jarry was 30-love up. He went 30-love up with this huge +1 forehand. Then he misses one random shot, and suddenly Diaz Acosta is in it. Yeah. And of course, the last 2 points, not making a first serve and even double faulting on the second one, that was quite key as well. Both guys will be, of course, rising the rankings after this event. Nicolas Jarry, in fact, I think if he wins the title, he would get a new career high of number 17. But if he loses here, he would just return to the top 20. This might not stick though, because he's defending Rio and Santiago over the next 2 weeks. Rio semifinals and Santiago title. Whereas Diaz Acosta, actually, until the spring, he has a very clean slate, just like one semi or something like that, maybe at the challenger level. And basically, Diaz Acosta, if he loses today, he's going to be 69th in the rankings, which obviously is his career high. Right now, even before this week, he was at a career high of 87. If he wins the title, though, he would get up to 59. Another great shot down the line from Diaz Acosta. I mean, yeah, whenever the ball is actually like sort of the trading neutral in the rally, and he's not playing against sort of the serve, he's not playing in a position where he's just willing to dig deep and grind Jarry down. He's actually sort of feeling confident enough to attack. He's taking these chances, and so far, I mean, he's been basically spotless on them. I remember the backhand down the line to go up 2-1. There was a great forehand early on. I think it was maybe the second game, and now this one as well. Jarry is not actually like fully comfortable just neutral trading with Diaz Acosta, and that's not because of his errors. That's because Diaz Acosta might also capitalize on a ball if it's too passive. And what a smart shot here! I mean, what the hell is this guy playing right now? Diaz Acosta, Jarry fully expecting him to go down the line with the forehand again. I was expecting it too, but the Argentinian just plays a softer, less maybe aggressive shot, but in the same corner that Jarry was coming from, wrong footing him completely and just surprising with that direction. It didn't need to be fast. It didn't need to be next to the line because it was just so surprising that he even went there. So after 23 minutes, I mean, 4-1 Diaz Acosta, and he's having it all his way so far. Having a blast in this final for now. It's 3 breakpoints at love 40, yeah. That was quite massive for sure. The fact that Diaz Acosta came out, hit a couple of random errors, basically, and then suddenly gets more and more confidence as time goes by, manages to save himself, even though maybe just one of these points was like really impressive. But then to even clinch the game, he had to get that insane point when Jarry hits Wacken down the line. Diaz Acosta like barely gets to it, then needs to run into the other corner. Also another insane get. So 4-1 up now and really playing with a lot of confidence, clarity as well. It's so far been an awesome performance from him for sure, especially considering the stakes, which have literally never been higher for him. Nicolas Jarry, 5 finals before, or everything at the ATP 250 level, but he's done it before. He's played in events like this. Probably the pressure was at its highest for Jarry in Santiago last year when he was playing at that home event in the final, right? And basically he really wanted to win it because like his family runs it and the kid was there and etc. Yeah. What? Okay. I don't even know what to tell you here. I mean, Jarry serving volleys, it seems like the Diaz Acosta shot will be good enough, but sort of like behind his back, with his back to the net, Jarry manages to come up with this half volley. It might be on on tennis Twitter, I think, if like someone from the tennis TV, if the admin is watching. So that's a pretty insane one, honestly. It felt like the angle on the Diaz Acosta backhand return was gonna be like more than good enough, for Jarry to not have a chance at hitting this ball, but he actually managed to pull this off. Now we see that confidence of Diaz Acosta again. I mean, Jarry opens up the angle for him slightly, and Facundo is already there hitting that forehand down the line. Of course, he missed it right now, but it just kind of shows you that Jarry, well, when he's in a neutral rally with Diaz Acosta, he obviously needs to be aggressive and like he knows it, but he really can't afford to be like too passive either, which is pretty interesting because you would probably expect that if they're trading from the back of the court, of course it's going to be Jarry who's going to be the dominant force, who's going to be going for it. But it seems like he really has to also, like he can't afford to just let Diaz Acosta have it his way and start spreading the court with the forehand, start finding these back down the line counters. Anyway, seems like this is going to be an easy game for Nicolas Jarry. Yes, and a couple of big serves definitely aided him in this task, in this mission. 4-2 now for Diaz Acosta, who needs just 2 holds to get the first set on the board here. And maybe this game kind of showed us, how Facundo really needs to take this, really needs to get this to the end. Like he needs to get this to a 6-3 or whatever, because maybe that one game that Jarry lost on serve, like maybe this isn't going to repeat itself. He finds 3 big serves here, and there's really nothing that Diaz Acosta can do. He's toast. So let's see how clean the Argentinian will be on serve now. Jarry wins the first point, outlasts Diaz Acosta this time. One of these heavy backhands cross court, eventually getting the error out of Facundo. Oh, did I do that? I think I might have. That's not what I was going for. Oh, okay. I fixed it, I hope. Never mind. That was about the stream layout. Of course, never mind. I've fixed it. If someone is just listening, that they didn't even see it, probably. So maybe no need to freak out. This time it's Jarry who's cracking first. On the backhand exchange. Of course, in their case, the backhand exchange will not be that common because one is a lefty, one is a righty. So most of the time they will be going against each other's shots rather than at them. But in this case, they were actually playing backhand to backhand and down the line. And we have another backhand error from Jarry, this time on the cross. Diaz Acosta with another forehand drop shot right after the serve. And honestly, he probably could have won it with a forehand down the line as well. But yeah, I mean, I don't mind. Both things basically have the same outcome here, I think, and were basically set up by another very good serve out wide. The serve out wide to the Jarry backhand on the outside so far has been pretty spectacular. Like, it's really throwing Jarry out of the court. And it's setting up points like this when Diaz Acosta just has 2 options to finish off the point. He chooses whatever he's comfortable with on the actual ball that's coming at him, and things will probably be fine. And to be honest, the dropper was also executed like incredibly well. And now he survives another rally with Nicolas Jarry, where there's a couple of heavy hits coming, but they keep coming back deep. They keep coming back with interest, and 5 to Diaz Acosta for now. As after the first game, Jarry has been a little powerless on the Diaz Acosta serve. Like, usually the depth and the heaviness, the spin from Diaz Acosta just keeps him pushed behind, and there's not that much that Jarry can do without like really stepping it up, without like really ramping up the pace, which often leads to errors. 30 minutes in, Diaz Acosta 5-2. Again, just having pretty much as good a start as he could have wished for in this final, given he's playing a big server. And, well, he couldn't really beat 5 love up or 6 love 1 love up. We've gotten a lot of subscribers. Even the past couple of minutes. Thank you to every one of them. But I think even since the beginning of the stream, we've gained like 50 or something. Apparently, a lot of new watchers. Welcome to you all. And yeah, let's keep following this Diaz Acosta Jarry clash. Wildcard against the third seed, and so far it's the wildcard which is prevailing. There's actually been a fair few wildcards winning titles on the ATP Tour. I was trying to look at it yesterday, but there's no big time stats coming from that. One wildcard has won this title before, even, and that was David Ferrer in 2014. But it was very different because Ferrer got a wildcard, but he was actually the top seed. So he just wasn't initially on the entry list. It's just that he got a wild card because he wasn't on the entry list, but he was actually the highest ranked player in the field. So it would be a very different achievement for Diaz Acosta to get there. One thing I can say though, that there also hasn't been that much time since someone won a title with a wild card on the ATP Tour, because it was literally Felix Auger-Aliassime in Basel last year, so just a few months ago. And Felix was also a seeded wild card, so basically, I think if we sort of don't make that distinction between a seeded wildcard and a regular type of wildcard, we probably would have to go to like Kokinaki's Adelaide, maybe, so about 2 years. But it's still not as rare. It's not that rare so that we can like pull out stats about it. Basically, it happens from time to time that wildcards win ATP Tour events. Jarry trying to stay in the set here by winning this game. It's a good start. It's a big serve. It's a +1 forehand that he's just crushing. Yesterday, we actually did the watch along for Jarry and Alcaraz with Vange, and we were sort of, I think it was a Sean question that made us think about like what's actually Jarry's best shot besides the serve. And we both were sort of leaning towards the backhand maybe at some point. But so far in this match, definitely the forehand has looked more scary, just easier to kill the point with, and especially when we've had all these neutral trades, then usually it's the backhand that cracks, despite it being such a good heavy shot. And especially the backhand cross yesterday against Alcaraz was definitely quite fabulous, and part of the reason why, part of the reason behind his win. Especially, I remember this one rally when they kept trading in the same direction, and Jarry just kept going more and more precise on every backhand cross, and that was quite insane for sure. But today he hasn't had that same sort of consistency, and in fact, the last point he also lost on a backhand cross-court unforced error. Oh, it's a funky net court from Diaz Acosta, and he's gonna be 30-15 up in this game. Jarry serve and volleying, and of course, if you're rushing the net, then the net court is very likely to just absolutely kill you. Especially as he slid his left leg here into he basically slid. Well, I don't know if he slipped, but he kind of like was already deep in the mud, deep in the clay mud, and there's no way that he can catch this. Second serve as well now, so once again we are sort of in trouble town for Nicolas Jarry here at 15:30. Diaz Acosta, very heavy forehand return, again playing deep shots. Can he actually get the error out of Jarry? No, it's gonna be Diaz Acosta cracking first. He tries to go for this whippy shorter angle on the forehand. He nets it. But yeah, this is rough. I mean, Diaz Acosta is still 2 points away from winning the set. Jarry has to go dig really deep now. Maybe he will pull out a massive serve. Or maybe we'll see another longer rally he will have to withstand. Again, second serve. The out here was like, basically on the almost near the baseline, or closer to the baseline than the service line. This time the return from Diaz Acosta isn't that deep. However, it's still high. It's still, spinny. It's still quite uncomfortable. But again, Jarry survives the rally. Again, he gets a few good hits in. He doesn't go for too much. And again, he survives the rally. 40-30 now. 1 point to get us to 3-5 and force Diaz Acosta to serve out the set. And this time Jarry gets it for free on his delivery. Obviously not for free. I mean, you have to come up with a serve like this, even when you're 6'6". It's not obvious, but it's a bona fide 3-point. Anyway, 5-3. Diaz Acosta about to serve out the set, or are we gonna get more drama, more entertainment, more momentum swings? Diaz Acosta for now obviously only struggled really in that one service game. Sometimes he gets a lot of work done, especially with that out wide serve on the outside. Sometimes it's just the fact that, well, he starts all the rallies from neutral on serve, more or less. So let's see. Pretty short return from Jarry, and it was relatively uncomfortable, I guess, for Diaz Acosta, but he manages to find a decent forehand but down the line from a short ball, and Jarry can't make the lob. I like that block return from Jarry, but I think if you're blocking returns 3 meters behind the baseline, it's definitely less effective. The opponent has a lot more time to run up to it, and you're also going to be in a weaker position. Again, Diaz Acosta going for that serve out wide, but Jarry is, for the first time, sort of fending it off, and for the first time, he's back in the rally. He actually did very well here to play the shot down the middle, deep enough in order for Diaz Acosta not to have the same positional advantage that he had in the previous few instances of using that serve. And Jarry gets the point in reward as well. But again, the backhand return is out. John says 95% in the stadium are for Diaz Acosta and 5 are against Jarry. That's pretty funny. I heard that yesterday. There was also like, or generally this week, people were not liking Nicolas Jarry in Buenos Aires too much. I will tell you in a second, Jean, what Jarry's lefties record is. I don't know if I actually checked that. I think I checked that, and he actually had a pretty decent one recently, but well, there was nothing special, let's say, about his lefty record against lefties. However, I will find it again. But again, he serves at the Jarry backhand. It brings him an error. 40-15. Still, after the opening game, not much that Jarry has been able to do on return. And he's paying a big price for that, especially a big price for that one weaker game that he had, and double faulting breakpoint down. That was also crucial. Is it going to be game? Another forehand drop shot. Insane. I mean, this time he didn't even throw Jarry out of the court too much, but I think he handled that ball from Jarry coming at him at a pretty fast pace really well. Like, this was a very creative drop shot as well. It wasn't just like, you get the ball to your regular strike zone. He had to like almost hide from it, yeah, I mean, this was really a kind of a spotless set other than the first 3 points for Diaz Acosta. Obviously, it's not like he didn't make some errors or something, but I mean, he's playing very well tactically. He's generally like forcing Jarry to play from the back of the court a lot. He's serving well. What else can you really say? So when it comes to Jarry's record against, oh no, sorry, that's Diaz Acosta's record against lefties. What am I talking about? Instead of Jarry's page, I entered Diaz Acosta's page, but let me give me a second, and I'm gonna find that. Diaz Acosta apparently has a very good record against lefties. Not that it is relevant today, But yeah, Jarry over the past 52 weeks, 5-2 against lefties, lost to Umber twice. He beat Brauer, he beat Mute, he beat Serundolo, he beat Atman and Mandarino. Serundolo, of course, Juanma, not Fran, because Fran is right-handed. But yeah, then again, these rivals most of the time here, they weren't really at his level other than Umber, so it's a little skewed, I think. Over the course of his career, it's 58 against 58 32. And if we are going down just to ATP level, it would be 18-8. So actually, he has a very good record against lefties. Which yeah, I think with his backhand being pretty strong in general. I mean, it hasn't been holding up that well this much, but in general, he should be fine against the lefty spin, I think. And even the serves out wide. I mean, Diaz Acosta has been doing a lot of damage with them, but you could imagine Jarry just hitting a lot of good deep backhand returns of that pattern. And he kind of did actually, second point of this game, right? So, oh yeah, basically, Jarry's records against lefties are pretty good. 12-3 on clay in his ATP Tour only career. So that's actually really strong, right? The only losses that he's had on the ATP Tour to lefties are Martin Klijan, Thiago Monteiro, and Albert Ramos Vinoas. And he hasn't played a lefty since losing to Ramos Vinoas on clay in 2022. I'm talking just ATP Tour level because he, for example, played Juan Macerundo in Rio de Janeiro qualifying last year. Anyway, Nicolas Jarry about to serve in the second set. Let's see. That's a great point from him. Even that forehand slice return from Diaz Acosta was pretty uncomfortable. Backhand actually, sorry, yeah, backhand actually was pretty uncomfortable. He manages to find a nice angle backhand cross, and then even that last forehand from Jarry, I enjoyed how he played it with a lot of margin. You know, he was definitely quite safe about it, but it was the right play at that moment. But yeah, with the way that they played in the opening set, I mean, one slip here can mean a lot. So now a bit wilder on this backhand down the line from Jarry. What a return from Diaz Acosta. I mean, what the hell is this guy finding right now? There is a bit of luck in this shot, you know? Honestly, like he wasn't going for it, but it's a good reaction. Jarry trying to serve and volley, and he finds this very sharp angled backhand cross return. Nothing you can do. I mean, maybe you could have been running, you know, serve volleying right to and running right to that corner, but that would have been stupid. Literally, there's nothing you can do because you gotta cover both directions, obviously. He gets the return back here, and Jarry with the miss. I mean, yeah, this one is just purely on him. The block return sitting up for him, middle of the court. Tries to play a forehand approach shot, which would have been a winner, by the way, because Diaz Acosta went the other way. And now 2 break points for the Argentinian. And as we saw in the first set, I mean, sometimes even one early break, even in a clay match between two players like this, who, well, Jarry obviously is a big server. Diaz Acosta is more like an efficient server. But that one break could mean a lot. And again, it's an insane return. What the hell is happening? I mean, Jarry tries to serve and volley, goes down the tee, and Diaz Acosta is there with this like block that has such insane trajectory as well on the forehand side. And he breaks 2 return winners in this game. 2 of them the same fashion, you know, Jarry trying to approach and getting burnt. Yes, Ashley Nori won Rio last year, so that's basically why he could be in some ranking trouble. But yeah, the return winners here against for Diaz Acosta, that was insane. The good thing for Nori, I guess, in Rio is that he actually has a pretty decent draw in the first few rounds. I think maybe well, in general, that draw is so similar to Buenos Aires. Like it doesn't feel like a 500 pointer draw for the most part. I would love to see another Alcaraz Jarry maybe in the final, maybe Alcaraz Fields, but Nori might have a few early rounds that would be comfortable for him. Although obviously his first match in Buenos Aires was pretty rough against Fede Coria. Like, to be honest, last year, first match in Buenos Aires, he also was struggling, and he was struggling to the guy we're watching right now, Facundo Diaz Acosta. He was down 3-6, 3-5 against him. And he actually managed to pull out. I mean, he actually managed to pull out the win. He managed to survive that. So maybe there's going to be a repeat of that. Not here, but like maybe he plays another one rough match in the Golden Swing and sort of gets himself into the groove, but not winning, not getting more playing time in Buenos Aires. I don't know if I like his chances. The only real shame about this for Nori is that at the Australian Open he had this pretty good event, right? I mean, he played rude and like played such a smart tactical match, a very aggressive version of Nori's game. Obviously, he almost beats Alexander Zverev as well, up until the fifth set tiebreak, being the better player in the decider. So um, it would be fairly disappointing for him if he goes out early again. But I do kind of feel like he scammed his way into the Buenos Aires final and Rio title last year, honestly. Obviously, mostly because of the Alcaraz injury, but yeah, also because of the match against Diaz Acosta in Buenos Aires. Yeah, Saipo Wild, actually, the match he has there against Tabilo, I feel like that might be a threat for the semis. Maybe there, it's not impossible for the winner of that match to make the semis. I think in Rio, which would be a massive run for either player. Saipo Wild really hasn't done much recently, so but and yeah, just a semi-final of a 500 pointer right now. It's like what 200 points or something like that. That's just insane. So Diaz Acosta on his way to another clean game, it seems. And again, it's the serving, out wide on the outside. He's insane. It's just setting up so many good points for him. Just easy cleanups with the plus one forehand. So he's basically not only matching Jarry on serve right now, he's kind of even overperforming. I mean, outperforming Jarry on serve right now, which is a bit of a prerequisite, I think, for Jarry to win this match, right? That he gets more out of his serve than Diaz Acosta does. And obviously, in terms of the speed, it won't be the same. But in terms of the effectiveness of their serves so far, Diaz Acosta has actually been, yeah, maybe even more effective definitely more effective than Jarry so far. And it is 6-3 love. And Jarry will need to find something very, very quickly if he is to win this match, this title. And well, obviously there still might be a choke from Diaz Acosta coming, given it's his first final. There are still a lot of possibilities for this match to have another twist for us in store. 4 holds from here, that feels like a lot, but for now, let's see if Jarry can even force him to have to find these holds. Because the last few points, they did look quite deflated to me from Jarry. Like, he wasn't, at his most competitive, if you may. And I think this point also shows you this. Like, he's not he's not even in the right mindset right now, and he needs to get out of that very quickly. This forehand drop shot here, I mean, yeah, it was never gonna work. And yeah, another forehand error here from Jarry. So love 30 now in the love to game. This could be a very rough performance for him if he doesn't managed to get something going like literally on the next few points. Diaz Acosta tries to run around here. That's kind of, yeah. I think that's confidence. That's a bit overconfident to me. But well, he kind of messes up an opportunity here. 1530 still though. Jarry at the net now. He really should be winning this point, but he's not. I mean, sometimes everything is going your way. I don't know if Diaz Acosta actually wins the point. Yeah, he does. What an insane combination. The lob, the drop shot, and then the pass. Honestly, the pass wasn't even that easy to control. Um, what the hell is this? I mean, yeah, maybe the volley wasn't that great for Jarry, but then the drop shot, and then, yeah, the way he just finds the last shot here, despite having to take it pretty early, and it gets such good precision on it again. Like, yeah, 2 breakpoints. I mean, sometimes it's just your day, and sometimes it's just not your day, I suppose. And if Diaz Acosta can claim either of these next 2 points, this might be turning into one of the most lopsided finals we've seen. But still a lot of time for Jarry, and he finds the forehand +1 winner on the line. Basically 2 centimeters from ending the match right here. And I can't even say that Diaz Acosta was close to ending the match. It's actually Jarry who was close to ending the match with his error, I think. And that's another breakpoint saved by Nicolas Jarry. He goes for the forehand, just kind of straight down the middle, and Diaz Acosta mishits it. So has he actually gotten out of trouble here? That's how it seems. Now he finds a better opportunity at the net, serving volleying. He has a game point, and it seems like for now, Nicolas Jarry has gotten out of danger. Well, he's still a set and a breakdown, right? But and Jarry should be able to clean up this game. Yes, indeed, with this smash. So 1-2 keeps sort of himself in touching distance with Diaz Acosta, but the big thing is going to be how he handles that return game from now on, as Diaz Acosta is really so effective so far when it comes to the lefty placement, direction, spins, and yeah, John, that was a drop shot for sure, but it wasn't too great. Nicolas Massou winning the Olympic tournament 2004 in Athens, says Nicolas. Yeah, Jarry, if when it comes to these Chilean stats, I think he would be like the 7th Chilean to get 4 titles on the ATP Tour. So definitely also some achievement for him. Nicolas Massou, of course, being one of these players. that have that, along with Rios, Gonzalez, Gildemeister, I think, Jaime Filol, and Christian Garin. Jarry played his final yesterday, says Martin Araya. Yeah, we definitely don't see, so far at least, the same sort of freedom and intensity from him. Gene says comeback starts now. Let's see. This really could have been, the end of the match if Jarry misses either of these +1 forehands on the breakpoints. Actually, the second one, of course, wasn't a winner. It wasn't actually even a forcing shot. It was just Diaz Acosta mishitting the forehand defense. But on the first one, Jarry landed the line on the forehand +1. So we are basically a few centimeters from kinda ending the match, but we'll see if that continues. Jarry with a better return now and should be able to clean up this point as well. Yeah, got Diaz Acosta really off balance. First return in a while where we see like Jarry just taking over, First return 1-2 punch. I wonder if we're going to see some sort of change up of strategy on return from him as well. Well, not much he could do here. Again, just good spot serving from Diaz Acosta. He gets a decent opportunity to attack the backhand with the forehand, and Jarry can't quite get to it. Of course, he's not the most mobile player in the world, especially in terms of like flexibility, athleticism, as we have been saying over the past 2 days or so. The raw speed is actually pretty high. Yeah, but this is a shot he can't be missing if he's going to return here to, if he's going to come back in this match. Nothing on that shot from Diaz Acosta, and he just dumps a backhand into the middle of the net. And again, yet again, I mean, I guess there was some intent at least in this Jarry error because he was trying to run around his backhand. But yeah, I mean, he can't afford to be missing now in these situations. Really, not much pressure coming from the Diaz Acosta's ball, and you could say that all match it's been like this. But actually, no. I mean, some of these points, Diaz Acosta has been playing with a lot more spin and pay and depth. This one was just, random regulation ball, and Jarry misses anyway. This was a weird point. I think the serve was probably out. Then it's a net cord, and then Diaz Acosta hits it out. But yeah, that's what Diaz Acosta shows to the umpire now, that the serve was like miles out. And I'm not surprised that he was confused that the point is going, because I think the serve was really, really long. Yeah. So it's a bit of a funky way to win a point for sure. As yeah, the return from Jarry on a serve that was out clips the net, and then Diaz Acosta throws out the shot in all the confusion. But of course, he still has one more game point, so maybe it won't be that meaningful. And this time we're gonna check the mark. This one was close. I actually don't know. Yeah, it's in. So it's an ace for Diaz Acosta. 6-3-3-1. It was either going to be just a brief. brief out, or just a small out, but or just it was either going to be just a small miss or basically a perfect serve down the tee, but in the end it is a perfect serve down the tee. Another miss from Jarry just in a baseline rally. 6-3-3-1, now love 15 again. Just nothing is coming easy for him in this match. Serve volleys and actually hits the forehand volley, I think. I don't think he hit it cleanly, but he manages to get the point done anyway, Jarry. The box laughing a bit, I think probably because of that, but yeah, I mean this was just a return which he couldn't really be struggling with. Like regardless of how you hit the ball, you're probably gonna win the you're probably gonna win the rally here. The court was basically wide open after he hit that wide serve. And another +1 miss. And yeah, it's just not a sharp performance from Jarry at all either, especially in the second set. Diaz Acosta playing with a lot of composure and like yeah, definitely spot serving well, but since the beginning of the second set, it's also been a lot of sloppiness from Jarry and a lot of yeah, just looking deflated. Oh wow. And now just to sort of yeah, just as I brought that up, that Jarry has also been pretty awful in the second set. He misses one of the easiest volleys you can get again. I don't think it was an accident that on the second point of this game he almost missed that unmissable forehand volley, because that's kinda how he's playing right now. Just very little concentration, very little focus. And he also has to be in the rally here, which usually doesn't end well for him recently. Let's see if Diaz Acosta maybe overhits or finds himself in a spot where he will be feeling like he might press. Yeah, and Jarry survives another breakpoint for now. Kind of like a maybe 12 shot baseline rally. Eventually, Diaz Acosta going for a backhand angle that's a little bit too sharp down the line. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, when there are breakpoints, I mean, recently at least, Jarry is often able to put in a lot of balls, but obviously it doesn't change the fact that in the first set he had a breakpoint which he gave away with a double fault as well. So it's not like it's been that case the entire match. Big serve down the tee. Diaz Acosta is gonna get it in, but it's just a it's just a put away forehand for Jarry. So he's gonna have a game point to keep again once again keep himself in touching distance. But there was another point which could have ended the match essentially. Still not out of the woods though. He misses a +1 forehand. Again, sometimes it's just kind of painful watching Jarry today, honestly. This time, one of these crazy serve and volley returns from Diaz Acosta doesn't go in. So, still within touching distance, still pretty close in the second set, but it's still a set and a break up for for Facundo Diaz Acosta. So, if Jarry can't break, we all know what's going to happen. Yes, I see that Gene was also saying that this is frustrating to watch, and yeah, some of the Jarry game today so far has definitely been quite frustrating. Jarry has been possessed by Kachin, says John. Poor Pedro Kachin catching strays. Kachin. Poor Pedro Kachin catching strays. Horrible pun, sorry. Yeah, definitely quite painful to watch Jarry sometimes here in this very error heavy mode. Diaz Acosta doing some meditating on the bench here. He will need all the mental power he has to keep going here and just keep holding these games. That's so far, I mean, after the opener, after the very first game of the match, he hasn't had any issues with. Yeah, this time he's doing a nice job on this whippy, shorter angle forehand cross court that he missed a couple of times in the match before. But again, a lot of that is just on the serve, you know. Jarry is so far out of the court and he has no ability to recover, despite obviously Diaz Acosta maybe not having like the same ease of adding pace on his forehand. He can get away with this softer hit. Again, that should be pretty good. Yeah, Jarry can't quite make the pass, although he was pretty close, admittedly. But this is another point that just Diaz Acosta gets because of his serve. I think Jarry is now trying to return closer to the baseline a little bit. But in this case, perhaps Diaz Acosta recognized it because he just blasted down the middle serve, like at the body, even though it's that direction where he usually just goes out wide. So Jarry will be like experimenting a bit now, it seems, as right now he's again at the fence and again missing the backhand return. So uh, the experiments are not successful for now, and in fact, far from it. 6-3, 4-2. Still no comeback effort from Jarry because he just can't get close to the Diaz Acosta serve for now. Partially because the Argentina is just serving so well, but also partially because even Jarry's quality in the second set seems to have dipped pretty significantly. Last two games he was saving the breakpoints though. Last two games he was really getting himself out of trouble despite being like on the brink of, falling two breaks behind, falling basically into a deficit that might not be um, workable for him. Anyway, 3-6, 2-4. Now that's a better point. Not as deep on the shots here from Diaz Acosta, and that instantly allows Jarry a little bit more freedom. He also has that freedom here, but what will he do with it? Probably not much for now. Did Diaz Acosta find it? I think maybe he just missed it. That's another one of these counters down the line that we've been seeing a lot more maybe in the first set, but yeah, he just misses it. Would have been an instant winner if he makes it. Jarry wasn't gonna even try to get there, and he wouldn't have a shot. But as things stand, that was still a pretty nice point from the Chilean. Like he played a couple of more high margin forehands, and what he was able to do with that is just shrink the court for Diaz Acosta just a little bit more. Force him to have to find that big forehand counter in order to take over. So for love, Jarry seems like we might get a fairly quick, clean game for him right now. Jarry back and down the line. Diaz Acosta somehow gets it back. He will win the point. Wow. I mean, that's probably a mistake. That's not going to matter. But I think all of these things like sort of combine into the Jarry mindset right now and how low he is on confidence. Losing a point like this when basically had the whole court wide open for him, and he goes for a forehand drop shot instead of just putting it away, and he loses it. Yeah, I mean, he's still 40-15. Like, he likely takes the game anyway, but it's not going to help his mindset going forward. Just going to add a bit more doubt when he has a shot like this again. For now, in the next rally, he doesn't have a shot like this again. He has a much tougher forehand approach to make, and he misses it. So 40-30, and in fact, maybe this put away that he didn't quite put away, maybe it's actually going to be meaningful, and maybe instead of an easy game for him, we might see something different. No, but it is going to be 6-3, 4-3 now. Diaz Acosta misses the backhand return, so still 2 holds away, but Jarry is managing to keep himself with that one break deficit, which could just evaporate. One weaker game, and he might just evaporate. Yeah, Delray Beach, I think, has had a lot of weather issues today, and basically they don't really have another option. It's going to be tomorrow, 10 a.m., the doubles final, and then not before noon, the singles final. Well, Matthew, you can still watch it tomorrow. By the end of the Rio Open, we might, John, I think. Nicolas still believing in the comeback. Diaz Acosta again meditating, trying to just keep that composure that he's been playing with the entire week. Worth remembering that he actually still hasn't lost a set, right? I mean, he's only played 2 tiebreaks as well against Altmaier and Cerundolo. He's beaten Daniel Altmaier, Fran Cerundolo, Dusan Lajovic, and Federico Coria, and now, of course, facing Nicolas Jarry, which, as I said, would be the biggest win of his career ranking-wise as well. Currently, it is that win against Cerundolo in the second round. Cerundolo is this week he's ranked number 22. Jarry this week is ranked number 21, so not quite a first top 20 win for Diaz Acosta, although well, he played I think only just once a top 20 player, and that was of course Taylor Fritz at the Australian Open, whom he actually took to 5 sets. So let's see. Maybe this is the game. Nicolas Jarry manages to get this one error from Diaz Acosta here. It's love 15. Is this enough to cast some doubt into the mind of the potential maiden ATP Tour champion? Is this enough to make him question what he's been doing so far? Well, not when he's serving like this. Again, a serve, an ace down the tee. This time not as well placed as that previous one that was just basically spot on, but still. This is another one of these huge returns from Jarry, which we haven't really been watching in this match. But this is like the second or third one where he really takes over with the return itself, and then just has a couple of shots of cleanup. But it's more than enough. It's 15-30 now, and this is the best opportunity that the Jarry has had since basically the first game on the Diaz Acosta serve, and especially considering where we are in the match right now, 3-6, 3-4 down from his perspective. This is such a crucial moment. But he throws out the return. Oh my goodness, yeah. Wasn't the perfect serve from Diaz Acosta. Like honestly, it was more so. Well, you could imagine him hitting that as the second serve. Let me say that. Very deep return from Jarry here, but it's only done enough to get him into a neutral rally. But Diaz Acosta, he kind of misjudges the next ball. Should have been just maybe 2 more steps forward. He barely gets good contact with it, and it clips the net. And it's a bit of a tense moment as well, but it stays on his side. So breakpoint for Nicolas Jarry now, and it's the first breakpoint since the opening game. So this is this is when we're coming to the crunch. This is when it's sort of do or die. Well, Jarry is in the point, trading backhands, and he makes the error. Nice forehand here from Diaz Acosta. I mean, this is good to find this under pressure. Really got Jarry off balance because he wasn't expecting that sort of angle on the +1. This was quite unusual for sure. But 6-3, 4-3, one game point for Diaz Acosta. He saved the break point, and it was just a matter of surviving a few shots before Jarry cracked essentially. I think it's a let on the second serve, or was it again the first? I don't even know now. Kind of got lost. Anyway, let's see what Diaz Acosta can do with this. Yeah, I think it was the second serve. Pretty sure. Jarry finding this nice backhand counter kind of opened up the angle for him, Diaz Acosta. And this time the Chilean finds this very flat hit that Facundo cannot quite absorb. So still deuce, 6-3, 4-3. We are really seeing a lot of, well, I don't know if in his play yet, but definitely in terms of the behavior of Diaz Acosta, we're seeing a lot of tension now, and we're seeing how important that is for him. Great serve out wide. Not quite enough to put Jarry away, though. And that's one of the best points of the match so far from the Chilean, I think. Maybe could have done slightly more on the +1 forehand Diaz Acosta, but the way that Jarry was able to really get a lot more springy in his movements than he's been so far and get back into the point, that's progress. That's his coach also clapping his hands to show the appreciation to his protege. Anyway, one more breakpoint for Jarry in this very, very vital moment of this final. It's a let this time on the first serve. Which one of these serving options is it going to be? Is it going to be the attempt to hit the down the T ace, or is it just a regular? Well, I guess he was going for the ace. And Jarry just with one more crack. Every single time he has a chance or like a mini chance to get back into this match, he just cracks again. The second set has definitely upped the messiness. The quality of the encounter has gone down. And now that Jarry is actually finding some chances, he's also been pretty effective at wasting them. But let's see. Still deuce. Still, this is the most vulnerable that the Diaz Acosta serve has been since the opening game. So, but he can't afford to be making more errors. So far, he's not doing it. But wow, Diaz Acosta with this backhand cross winner. I think he kind of just outlasted Jarry here. Jarry was fine. He was absolutely fine trading with Diaz Acosta for a long while until eventually that recovery, that split step kind of, he was kind of skipping on it in the last 2 or 3 shots. And that eventually resulted in the open space for Diaz Acosta there. And he manages to take it. Game point again. to really get so close to winning that maiden ATP title. Agonizingly close if he wouldn't pull it off. Second serve, I almost thought it was a double fault, but I forgot it was a let earlier. Again, he has Jarry on the run, and this time the Chilean can't find the same sort of defensive research than he was able, the same sort of forehand counter on the run. So now 6-3-5-3, and we are really so close to Diaz Acosta pulling this off. Do we think Facu being a lefty has been a factor, says John? I don't think it's that important. I mean, maybe particularly in this match a little bit because Jarry's backhand is not as solid as usual. Well, his shots generally aren't solid, but yeah, and this was Jarry's first breakpoint since the beginning of the match, obviously. 6-3-5-3. Jarry serving to stay in the match. Last time we had this situation in the first set, he actually held, despite I think some minor issues, and then Diaz Acosta managed to get out of the opening set. Let's see. The second set, as I said, has definitely gotten a lot more messy in terms of the quality. Diaz Acosta, to his credit, is still serving pretty well and played a couple of really important points well in the previous game. Although the 2 break points, that was just Jarry, right? That was just Jarry missing shots. $15 now, 3 points away from the match, from the title, from the biggest win of his life. In many, many ways, the biggest win of his life. That's a fun point, and Jarry eventually takes it. There was a net court that kind of you couldn't tell which guy it helped. Eventually, it's Jarry who's sort of on the back of it, approaches the net and gets the volley in. 30-15. Even someone as fast as Diaz Acosta won't be getting to this shot. This ball is called in, so I think we're gonna have a replay of the Jarry serve. I mean, it's called in. It's checked by the mark is checked by the umpire, and it was in. So we're gonna get a replay of the Jarry first serve. Oh, yeah, that's from what they showed us on the feed. I mean, it's pretty hard to call this ball in, honestly, even from this slow mo. But anyway, Of course, the mark when they actually showed it was definitely in. Anyway, doesn't matter now. 6-3-5-4. Diaz Acosta will have to serve it out. Now Jarry with a pretty big reaction, which also this was, kind of missing from his game, I think, for a while. His body language was a little negative in the middle of the second set. But do you know how much pickleball I can play in the time it takes to finish one set on red dirt? I actually don't agree with you, Ghosty. When I saw some pickleball rallies, they actually were playing for like hours in one rally because it's such a sport for grandpas. Well, I don't want to even call it a sport. It's a recreational activity. No, it's probably a sport, but well, I do have my issues with that. Oh, really? Jarry's first ace. Interesting. Yeah, I actually don't know. Didn't know if it was a joke because I don't know if pickleball really looks like the rallies that I saw. But um, I mean, I keep hearing that it's funnier to play than it is to watch. But well, I wish Jack Sock was playing ATP Tour events, not whatever the name of the pickleball ball tour events is. And yeah, let's see. The previous Diaz Acosta hold was obviously a pretty tough one, the toughest one since the opening game of the match. Jarry having 2 breakpoints and just missing regulation shots, nothing crazy, nothing that he was like really trying to take over with. Diaz Acosta, let's see. I mean, this one, the return from Jarry sets him up for a nice forehand opportunity down the line, and he actually takes it. It was pretty ballsy, to be honest. It was pretty close to the line, but he manages to get the first point. 3 points away from the title. He was already in that position in the previous game, but that was on return, of course, and against Jarry, it does matter quite a lot. And this is another missed return that Jarry will feel like he could have made, He will feel like this is something that I potentially could have found, and in a spot like this, kind of had to. Two points away now. 30 love. Trading forehand against the backhand of Jarry. He actually switches up to forehand and Jarry misses again. So again, this is not a great game from the Chilean after the first point, which he really couldn't do much against, on in or on, whatever, really. But that's 3 match points for his maiden ATP Tour title, and what a week it would be. Jarry in control of this one, though. Finds a nice angle on the backhand cross return and then finishes it off as the court is practically open. 2 more match points for Facundo Diaz Acosta for his first win against Nicolas Jarry, for his biggest win ranking-wise, for the first ATP Tour title that, just before Cordoba, he didn't even have a single ATP Tour quarterfinal. So that would be an absolutely insane feat for Diaz Acosta. And what a story as well, as last year he was so close to beating Cameron Norrie here. But can he clinch it? Not yet. I think it's a let. Nice serve out wide. Can he take it? Not yet. Jarry staying in the point. Big forehand cross from Jarry. Now he goes down the line. This is such a good point from him so far. And he does get it in the end. 2 match points have been saved already. Second serve now, and this is kind of, double fault looking. Not gonna lie. I mean, this has the vibe of a double fault. Let's see if Diaz Acosta even gets the. Well, he does. But it's a decent return from Jarry. And did he make it? No, I don't think he did. Holy hell. I mean, this was, again, just 5 centimeters away from the title, pretty much. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Yeah, okay. I am exaggerating a little bit, but like it wasn't far off that backhand counter cross making it in. So 3 match points have been saved now. Yes, Acosta. I mean, he hasn't done that much wrong on these match points. It's just that Jarry suddenly isn't missing whatsoever. What is happening here? I mean, okay, the serve is called out. Okay, I thought it wasn't. So that's going to be a second. Yeah. On the replay, you can see that was out. So it's going to be a second serve for Diaz Acosta, who's a little confused at first. Let's see if that influences the second serve that he finds here. I mean, he just throws it in, doesn't do much with it. Some decent scrambling from him here. Jarry just going into this lockdown mode, he's just not going to miss now. At least that's what it seems. And Diaz Acosta finds a forehand cross winner. I don't think it was clean. I don't think he really, meant for it to be this precise. Yeah, I think he mishit it slightly, but he's not going to apologize for it. He's just going to be like, come on, guys, pump up the crowd. And he has his 4th match point. I guess ballsy of him to take that forehand cross, go for that winner, even if maybe he didn't hit it that cleanly. Anyway, 4th match point. And it's going to have to be on the second serve again. Jarry throws him out of the court with the return, and I think that Diaz Acosta missed it. Yes. Diaz Acosta tries to go for this forehand counter, really out of position, and he just misses it. So again, 4th match point has been saved. And by the way, this wouldn't have been a winner if he found it. Like he was just playing a big shot down the middle, more or less. Jarry eventually missed the ball, but I think it was influenced by the fact that he was expecting it to go out. 4 match points by now. And things are getting quite tricky when Jarry is like not missing a single shot in the past couple of minutes. This is insane. And honestly, this is kind of on him because Diaz Acosta hits the forehand drop shot here. And it's really good, right? Like it's really good. And I think he's not expecting Jarry to get to it, or at least not expecting Jarry to get anything interesting out of that. And he doesn't move forward into the court. And he loses the point because of that eventually. Because Jarry just comes up there and hits this redrop, which is pretty short. I'm surprised Diaz Acosta even gets to it. Diaz Acosta, in fact, almost hits the net. And eventually Jarry is the winner in the point. So we've got a break point here after 4 match points saved. but Jarry's return is into the net. So after not missing a shot for like the last 5 minutes, Nicolas Jarry misses the first one. And it wasn't an amazing serve from Diaz Acosta, let me tell you. That spot serving that we were admiring in the first set, in the first few games of the second set, it's kind of gone now. Like right now, it's more about rolling it in, you know? Right now, it's all the tension and all the nerves. This wasn't as egregious. This isn't like a big moment to regret for Jari, like the breakpoints at 3-4, when he was, yeah, just kind of making errors out of nowhere. This is still a return, but given the fact that he didn't, before that, he hadn't missed a shot for 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah, still something. Diaz Acosta down the line, yes. Fifth match point coming up. Spreading the court very nicely here. Back and cross. Back and down the line. Then he sets up this. First, it was back. It was forehand cross, then back and down the line. Then it sets him up for this forehand opportunity, which he takes. And fifth match point coming up. Last two games, he's had to save 3 breakpoints. If he wins this here, he'll be unbroken still in this match, despite 6 breakpoints saved. Jarry again, is he gonna go into that lockdown mode? Well, he doesn't need to, because Diaz Acosta tries to find the backhand down the line, tries to end this point, sort of at will, and tries to end it with his initiative. But again, he misses it. So 5 match points have been saved already. Goes for it again on a couple of forehands. Down the line is amazing, actually. Wow. I mean, again, spreads the court so well, Diaz Acosta here. Um, 3 forehands literally in this game, in this point. It wasn't theoretically anything spectacular, but they were all so well placed. Sixth match point now, and again it's gonna have to be on the second serve. Match point number 6. Can Facundo Diaz Acosta take it? So far, he hasn't been making any double faults on these, which is also usually a problem when you're so close to wrapping up a very important win. And again, we're in a rally. Is Jarry gonna miss? Because he's just, he's just not gonna miss when the opportunity is there. But I think he has just missed, yeah. Diaz Acosta opening up this angle with the backhand cross for him, and he gets the job done. 6 match point. There's a lot of crying in the Diaz Acosta box even. I see that the coach basically has tears in his eyes. Obviously, for Facu, it's also amazing. And yeah, he gets the job done. 6-3, 6-4, not broken in the final. What a week. I mean, he didn't drop a set even the entire week. So that kind of already tells you how strong this one was. How is he gonna, sort of perform after this? Who the hell knows? Is he going to be another one of these random Golden Swing winners like Juan Manuel Cerundolo, like, I don't know, Juan Ignacio Londero, who didn't really follow up the runs? Hopefully not. And as I said, for Diaz Acosta, he still has like 2 more months of basically not defending any points. Right now, he's going to be at 59 in the rankings. So there's still a lot of potential for him to rise in the next 2 months. And then we'll see how he survives all the challenger points that will be falling for him. Diaz Acosta will obviously be now in Rio and will be in Santiago as well. So there's a lot of opportunities for him to still follow this up during the Golden Swing. After that, he's gonna get his main tour opportunities. Who knows? Maybe he's gonna be in like a story or something. Last year, he actually played the Green Clay Swing in the States and was really good there. But of course, this year, I'm assuming that the Green Clay Challengers will not be part of his schedule. Maybe Houston though, because he was good on hard true, he was good on synthetic clay. Maybe that's what he's gonna be going for. But yeah, eventually, that's the match, and Facundo Diaz Acosta gets the biggest win of his career, gets the most exciting day of his win of his career, and that's the win. I mean, did Jarry do anything horrible here? Well, he definitely missed these couple of random shots at the 3-6, 3-4 breakpoints. That's something that he surely could have done much better. And also, just in general, that second set looking a little deflated, right, for a large part of it. But I guess a big part of this win is also how in the last couple of games, like Jarry really wouldn't miss. So he has that in him, right? If he played like this in the first few games of the second set, for example, we maybe don't even get there. But anyway, it's not really the story to focus on here, right? I mean, it's just Diaz Acosta not dropping a set to get his maiden title. This is his moment. This is the time to focus on him, if you may. And basically, let's just say that. I mean, the first set from him was just a masterpiece. This was how he played against Fede Coria as well in the semifinals. And yeah, this was essentially again him playing with that superb mental composure, getting all the spot serving right, getting all the spin heavy deep shots to keep Jarry behind, and then also taking these opportunities when they showed up. I mean, what the hell was that set? And also the returns that he broke with right at the beginning of the second. After that, obviously a big fat mess, but that's how a maiden title sometimes has to be. Hello, John Silk.
Can you see or hear me?
Yes, I can see and hear you.
Oh dear, double trouble. That was I think the last game kind of made the final.
Yeah, I get that totally.
I mean, it had a lot of drama. 6 championship points, I think it was. And of course, you also had the 40 love to Juice thing as well. And yeah, Jarry wasn't going to go away easily. But listen, a deserved winner. But did Facu, did he win it or did Jarry lose it, or maybe a bit of both?
I mean, I can't really say that Jarry lost it because in the last game he was really went into that lockdown mode. He was not missing. He was not willing to give the match away on a mistake. I wish, for the match, for the drama of it, that he started playing like this a bit earlier maybe than the last game.
Yeah.
But for that reason, I can't really say that Jarry gave it away because in the last game he was really fighting and making Diaz Acosta win it. Obviously, he had that one breakpoint where he misses a return, but it's still a return. It's not like the breakpoints at 3-4, which were definitely a bit more. For them, he was a bit more to blame. Let's say that.
Yeah, right. By the way, I can see that the caption "Jarry has been possessed by Cashin" is still on the screen, which is quite funny.
I clicked it and I forgot about it, but
yeah, don't worry.
I was laughing at Pedro Cachin catching some strays here. I don't know if why you mentioned him, but I can probably deduce it.
Yeah, but also, what was I going to say? Is Jarry's backhand return normally an issue, or is his backhand normally an issue? Full stop. It just seemed to be something today that at least to the naked eye, it seemed like it was an issue.
No, I mean, usually it's a little more solid than it was today, I think. He actually, when you were mentioning something about lefties, I don't think you were listening to us probably, but earlier Gene was also... Yeah, Gene was also asking about that, and we were talking about his record against lefties, and it's actually pretty good. Like on the ATP Tour, on clay, it's 12-3. So yeah, I mean 18-8, I think overall on all surfaces. So it's actually pretty good. And in general, yesterday when we had that watch along for Alcaraz Jarry, we were talking about it with Vanch that his backhand might actually be his stronger shot. So it was definitely a little more erratic than usual today. Obviously, the Jarry game is actually, in sort of in its basis, it's going to be erratic. If you're playing like this, it's going to be erratic. But in that last game, he showed that he also has that more, safer mode, right? And it was really good. Like he was still hitting big shots, but he was just making everything.
Yeah. The other thing that I felt, but sometimes our feelings can deceive us, is during the first set, I was thinking to myself about the differences in the match with Alcaraz, for Jarry, that is, and just thinking, oh, today he's the one who's got to take the initiative. He's the one who's maybe the expectation is on him as the slight favourite, as somebody who has the experience of winning titles in the past. And it's up to you now to sort of to win this match, if you like. Whereas yesterday, all of that was on the racket of Alcaraz, and I guess that dynamic was very different. Whether that played a part or not, well, maybe Nico himself will say something in the press conference. The other thing I was thinking towards the end of the match, when there was some break points that came and went for Diaz Acosta. I think he had 3 break points, one at 15:40 to get the double break, and another one at 30:40. And the crowd were really starting to sense the title was probably going to come home, if you like. And I was starting to think, I think right now, maybe for the first time this week, being a home favourite, if you like, or a home, someone who they want to win and the support might get to Diaz Acosta. I thought, because I just thought from the human side that actually that's an amazing thing to have, especially when you're behind on the scoreboard and the cheering is coming on and come on, mate, bring yourself back if you can. But when you're on in front and you've had 3 break points come and go, I was starting to think to myself, oh, maybe now it's like, oh, I could be winning this tournament. I always think of Baghdadis having the same mental thought when he's up a set, and I think he has a break point or maybe even a set point on Federer in 2006. And he actually admitted, he said, I started to think about winning the title at that point, and that's when he lost it.
I mean, this is pretty much what Jarry had to face in Santiago last year, right? And I think it can add to the pressure for sure. Maybe it's a little different for Diaz Acosta. Like I think for Diaz Acosta, it's still probably more important to just claim that first title. Like I think regardless of where he was playing it, there would be some nerves at the end. Jarry was probably a little different because he already had a title, right? So probably that Santiago one was like, I really want to win at home. For Diaz Acosta, I would assume that more important was just the fact that, he was playing for his first title, and also, just how magical that week was, and like, how he was never really considered one of the main favorites to claim it, obviously. But he actually managed to be in the final, managed to be in the semis.
Am I right in thinking that Jarry had those 3 break points at the beginning of the match, but then didn't get another break point until
not until 3-6, 3-4, yeah.
Yeah, right, 3-4 exactly. Yeah, 3-6, 3-4.
And so 3-4 he had this like 2 random errors, and 4-5 was the backhand return he misses.
Yeah, right. And so that seemed like a long time to go. When you get with them so early in the match, I wonder if Jarry might have thought, well, was he a bit passive on those 3 points? I'm just trying to remember those 3 break points he had in the opening game.
Sorry, come again?
Those 3 break points as a viewer kind of came and went in a way. I don't remember them with great clarity. I was just wondering if
no, I remember it more or less, yeah.
Okay. Was he passive on those 3 points?
It was like a neutral rally on both of them, the 3-4 game. But technically, like I can't really say he was too passive.
Yeah. I just wonder as well, though, when I was watching it, I was thinking, no big deal. You'll get more break points in the next couple of games. You'll probably win the first set and you'll go on and win the title. So, how wrong. And those break points came and went. And that was it. That was it for Jarry until, as you say, 3-4 and then again at 4-5. But, hey, listen, did you see this Diaz Acosta sort of level, in the last year or two or in the last few months? I mean, I saw Ben Rothenberg tweeting that Taylor Fritz was really gushing about him in Australia after I think Fritz beat him there, and just saying that he's up and coming, and he's got a very top level coming. I mean, did you see this?
I mean, last few months, definitely not. But Diaz Acosta had this patch in the spring of last year when he won 3 challengers and basically in like 6, I think, was in 4 finals. And yeah, that was definitely his strongest moment of last season. That was when he got to the top 100. Last year, at the beginning of the season, I remember actually being like one of the bigger believers in him. But obviously not. I didn't really think that a year later he was going to have an ATP Tour title. But when he was ranked at like 200, and he had that big match against Nori, I remember thinking that like he should be in the top 100 very soon. But yeah, after the spring of last year, he kind of, let's say towards the end of the season, the hype and the excitement coming from his results, from his play, kind of died down. He had some early main tour opportunities, but yeah, they were on hard courts. So like he picked up a win in Winston-Salem. He almost beats Fritz, the Australian Open. But there wasn't anything too crazy to be excited about, for sure. So he definitely has sort of restarted the expectations and the hype with the Golden Swing, I would say, yeah.
And now, of course, he's going to head to Rio, play Stan Wawrinka, and go out in the first round, right?
Yeah, that's what he's going to do.
That's the tennis tradition in a way. That's tennis tradition to win a tournament.
That you have to play Stan Wawrinka in the opening round.
No. But you go out for you win a 250 on the eve of the Australian Open, and then you're out of the Australian Open 48 hours later.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Karolina Pliskova, Cluj, and Doha recently.
Yeah, well, that was a slight exception, of course, but yeah, normally you sort of, in English we say after the Lord Mayor's show, but there's also probably a physical element as well of playing all these matches back to back, and then. But listen, he's got 48 hours to recuperate, and maybe he can do the golden double. But I've actually gone for Thiago Seyboth-Wild to win in Rio. Not that he's necessarily shown any form to do so,
win
but
the
there
title?
we go. Yeah, I just didn't want to pick Alcaraz. I didn't want to pick Alcaraz, so I just went for someone else. And
okay.
I thought Diaz Acosta and Jarry are in today's final, so I thought
Seyboth-Wild is someone else. That I can give you. He is someone else.
And his draw is okay. He's in the opposite half to Carlos. His first 2 rounds look very winnable to me. So then he's in the quarters, and then beyond there, who knows? And the thing is, if his mind is on the game, if his mind is focused and he's okay, then he can be a threat. And why not be a threat at home?
Sorry, I know I'm a little like out of it, but basically I made this one. No, never mind. I made this one mistake and I'm fixing it now. But basically, okay. Yeah. What were you trying to say? Sorry, because I
was just saying that why not? If his mind is on it, if he's focused and his mind is on the game, then why not? And if he can't be focused in Rio, where can he be focused?
Seyboth-Wild, yeah. I mean, I think I said during the broadcast that the winner of Seyboth-Wild Tabilo should have a pretty good chance for the semis to me.
Exactly.
I don't really buy him winning the title because of Alcaraz, but if Alcaraz is not around, and yeah, as you said, I mean, he hasn't done anything in recent months. Like he really needs a big run. I don't know if he's gonna get it, but he is kind of due a big run.
Yeah, I think I've had bigger runs than Seyboth-Wild lately, actually. But anyway, yeah, I went for a run in the park the other day. Okay, listen, let's bring this to a close. I think I've just seen a WhatsApp from Vanch about maybe doing a watch along for tomorrow, but we'll talk about that later. That is this week done. I'm flying to Rio first thing in the morning. So, of course, lots of stuff coming from there. Delray Beach, in terms of miles, unfortunately, has come to a premature end, at least in terms of his experience, because of the rain delay and all the rest of it until tomorrow. And yeah, congratulations to Facu, as they were calling him in the crowd, not to be confused with another English expression which means go away or you're a bad person. And I see Gabriella Sabatini giving him a big hug. She's been here basically all week, waving to the crowd and enjoying things, so that's cool. And yeah, we can wrap things up, and plenty of content. Of course, we'll have the press conferences. I'll be recording them, and just for those who are still with us right now, who are thinking, oh, these press conferences are in Spanish, YouTube offer a reasonable translation option where you just have to click the cog. This is me talking to the audience rather than you necessarily, Damien, but you just click the cog, then you click translate or auto subtitles in Spanish, then you click the cog again and you click the language of your choice. So most people have been sort of tuning in for them and trying to figure out what they're being said, but yeah, fingers crossed people can work it out, and that's that. All right, listen, Ghosty, thanks for tuning in, Ashley too, and many others. And I can click end show if you want, Damien, or do you want to do it?
Whatever, really.
I'll
I don't
click
think
end.
it matters all that much.
No, it doesn't. All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And Ghosty says Argentinian Spanish sounds Italian to him, so I'm guessing that's a compliment or positive.
Because it's like
but anyway,
more, and there's more energy, maybe even. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
that's the reason.
Ghosty's annoyed about some kind of anti-Tommy Paul agenda, which we'll address some other time.
Maybe I pissed him off when I said that Delray Beach is the most boring event I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, I actually heard that. Yeah, I think you said that at the beginning of the match. Yeah, because I think
Which
you said
I definitely second that. Buenos Aires was just so much more thrilling.
The other thing is with Delray Beach is it comes immediately after Dallas, and it's basically the same draw, the same two. It's 250. If Delray Beach was first and then Dallas was second, we might be saying the same about Dallas. But anyway,
both events were incredibly boring in my opinion. Like it's literally U.S. national championships in a way, and I don't know. There's no novelty in a match of Tiafoe and Paul, or Fritz and Paul to me. Like,
Ghosty's hitting unsubscribe as we speak. Right, on that bombshell, I'll speak to you all very soon, and I'm going to click end show. So yeah, like, subscribe, and all that other jazz, and plenty more content that comes from Buenos Aires. So yeah, speak to you soon. Cheers, everyone. Bye bye.